Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is another in my practice session series for the Red Hat Certified Specialist in Identity Management Exam EX362. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, and if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button. Also, a reminder that these are my practice sessions for the exam. My exam's in just a few days, so I'm doing one more review of all of the objectives as published by Red Hat, and during the session I will try to either explain concepts that are related to the objectives or try some exercises with the objectives, and at the end of the video I'll do a little self-assessment. Hopefully I'll feel confident with the objective, and if not, I still have a couple of days to do a little bit more review and brushing up before the exam. That being said, these should not be considered tutorials, nor should they be considered authoritative training materials of any kind. I am just like you. I am working on learning the material for the exam. I do try to have the information accurate, and hopefully at this point of my preparation I have not learned something wrong, because if I have, then I'm kind of sunk. But even though I do try to have this information accurate, these should not be considered any type of authoritative material. I put these out on the internet in hopes of some of you that might be preparing for the exam may see some of the stuff that I do to practice, and it might give you some ideas of things that you can do and create for your own preparation. So continuing in the create and configure IDM users and user policies, we're going to look at create roaming or automated home directories. This is dealing with autofs and auto mount with IDM. I have not been in a production environment that has used autofs. Now, I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure there are a lot of rail shops that make good use of it. It hasn't been something that I have come around. So pretty much my experience with autofs is just through things I've had to pick up with the training. Autofs was out of the RHCSA exam when I took it for REL 8. I think it's back for REL 9. So it wasn't something that I really dove into a whole lot. I understand conceptually what's going on with it, though. I do have a critique for autofs. The way configuration is done with it, with the two different configuration files, is odd. It is not straightforward. It's not like, just NFS shares and such that, configuration is pretty obvious as far as what you need to do. But that being said, let's see if I can make this work in an IDM environment in case I have to do that on the exam, which I have a feeling I probably will. It seems like storage stuff is low-hanging fruit for the exam folk, but maybe not. But if it is, obviously I wouldn't be able to tell you because of NDA, but I just have a feeling I'll have to deal with this. So I'm going to do this with NFS because that seems to be the network file system of choice for a lot of Red Hat documentation. I think the actual Red Hat documentation for auto mount basically walks you through using NFS. Of course, you don't have to use NFS. You can do this with local mounts or probably with CIFs and the like, but I'm going to try to do it with NFS as my little challenge here. So we're actually going to set up the NFS server. So let me SSH lab IDM NFS. I'm actually going to become root. And I don't think I have installed the IPA client on this yet. So let's do DNF install -y IPA client. Okay, so I haven't even joined this to the realm. So we can do that real quick. Takes a few seconds or so to install it. See if I've done the etc host thing. Yes, I've already set that up. All right, I'm just going to walk through the wizard for this. Just fill in what I need. No, we're not going to use any special NTP. All this looks good. Admin and then monkey123 with the capital M so it's secure. Okay, so that's done. Let's see if I can get a ticket. Monkey123. Yes, all right, I can get a ticket. Okay, so that's been joined. I believe I'm going... Yeah, I'm going to have to make me a service for NFS, which, by the way, there was one of the things that's kind of annoying doing my practice sessions, because I do this as a review. This is not the beginning of my preparation. If it is, I'm really sunk. But I do these as kind of an exercise to try to get some stuff back to the front of my head and either identify obvious holes in what I know or just, a general review. And I'll go through a practice session and there'll be something that I have forgotten. And when I end the practice session, I'll go back and reread either training material that I have or consult Dr. Google and Red Hat documentation. And I'll find the thing that I've forgotten and feel like a fool because I should have thought of that. And the one thing with this, I think, well, I'm not sure the order in which you will watch the videos, but the video that I did about services, I think Kerberized services maybe was it. And I couldn't think of what, oh no, it was the one that dealt with the host-based access control policies. And I couldn't think of, when you make an IPA service, if that's like a one-to-one for system D. It is in fact not that, but rather it refers to services that that PAM can use. So I don't think it's something I necessarily need to know for the exam, but it was one of those little kind of trivia things that bothered me. But anyway, so we're going to add a service for NFS for lab idm NFS idm.egs.lab.com. Oh, service add, not add service. That's what I get for doing these, 9:40 p.m. Okay. And I'm also going to grab the key tab for this. I'm pretty sure NFS uses the default etc krb5.key tab. And if I were to look at what's in that klist, I think it's KT that I need. etc krb5.key tab. We'll see it has the key tab for the host itself. And so I think it's IPA get key tab. Yeah, let's see if I can remember a couple things I need. First, the principal, that's going to be NFS, lab ID, MNFS. I don't think I have to do the full thing with the realm name. The server is going to be lab IDM server. Actually, I might not even need that. It may just grab that from Kerberos configuration, but I'll put it in anyway. egslab.com and then -K for the key tab. We're going to dump this in. So it'll be KRB5 key tab. See if this works. It looked like it worked. So klist -KT etc krb5 key tab. Okay, good. So we now have the service principal has its key tab here as well as the host. So that should be kind of the beginning preparation stuff that I need. Next, I need to actually install some of the NFS stuff. So I'm going to do DNF search NFS. I think it's NFS utils. Oddly enough, of the Linux positions I've had, there's only been one that has truly utilized NFS. The other environments I've been in are like mixed Windows Linux, and I have not dealt with NFS in those environments. But we do need NFS utils. So DNF install -y NFS utils. Oh, it's already installed. I just assumed that it was not. Let's see. I know I'm going to need to add some services with firewall CMD. Add service. Now I need NFS. Now I need RPC. Is it -bind? Yep. And then the one that I remember with NFS for RHCSA that I kept forgetting is mount D. It's curious how some things that you just, once you've made so many mistakes with it, you find yourself not forgetting it anymore. To permanent. All right, got that. There is a client. Yeah, I need to do IPA client auto mount. That is going to set up some of the IPA stuff that needs to happen to be able to use. It's like you run client auto mount both on the server for NFS or whatever your file server is, as well as running it on your actual clients. What I don't know, and if I have time, I might try to practice this to see if that's something that can be done via Ansible with the free IPA playbooks and inventory variables. I'm just not sure off the top of my head. Client auto mount. I don't think there's anything else I need to do. Location with this, from what I gather, is it's not the exact same as like AD sites and services, but what you can do is create auto mounts for particular locations. And the location is really just servers that you have deemed are in a similar geographic location, such as, let's say we're in some big distributed enterprise network and we have stuff on the East Coast of the United States, stuff on the West Coast of the United States. We can create our auto mount shares, or not auto mount shares. We can create our autofs items with specifying locations. So that way on the client side, when you're doing the configuration there, you can say, oh, if you're a West Coast client, you need to use this particular auto mount because of this location. That's going to have you talking to servers that are closer to you geographically. All right, so started autofs. I think I needed to install. I think all that stuff is going to just come baked into Red Hat. Now, one thing I am going to do, we're going to make a directory, and where do I want to put this? I'm going to call it NFS test. All right, so we have that directory, and since I have a ticket, IPA user find, let's see what I have in my test environment. All right, I have test user 1 and test user 2. So we'll make another directory in NFS test for test user 1. I can do this. There we go. And we're going to create a document in each of those. So let's do echo test user 1, test user 1, and we'll name this file who is this.txt. And we'll do the same for test user 2. Is that how I want to do this? Yeah, I could probably do this way. Yeah. All right. So let me take a look at permissions, NFS test. Yeah, what I'm going to do is change mode to 700 for NFS test, because the reason why I'm doing this is this typically like your home directory, and each of the individual user directories within that are 700, and then they are owned by the user themselves. So shown test user 1, test user 1. Helps if I spell user right. And let me do -RV. I can't win tonight. User. Okay. And we'll do test user 2. All right. So I got the NFS stuff set up. Now we need to configure our exports. So etc exports. Let's see if I can remember what I want for this. So this is going to be NFS test. I'm going to allow anyone to access it, which in the production environment, you probably, well, I guess you kind of would have to, because your users are going to be logging in from a variety of IPs. Well, you might not have to do everybody. You might have certain subnets users are going to be on, but anyway, that's what I'm doing. Read write, and I'm going to add some, I'm going to specify, or try to remember how to specify, some Kerberos policies for how authentication is going to work for this. And I think, if I remember right, we have, is it security or is it auth? Well, I'm going to put a couple of things in here first. KRB5, integrity, and then KRB5P. I know is encryption. This is an incorrect configuration right now because there's something else I need to do for this. And what I'm going to do is see if I can get this from NFS. Might have to do, I can't remember if it's like auth or sec. Sec, that's it. Yep, sec equals. And if you're on the exam and you're having to deal with this, this is exactly how you would look it up. So sec equals, and then we specify the different Kerberos things by colon. Okay, now this, like I said, NFS, not something which I guess is kind of a strange thing to say if you're working with Linux almost all the time, but like, I understand basics of NFS and such, but it's not something I'm touching day in and day out, so I'm having to try to rely on some memory. All right, so systemctl, we need to enable NFS server.service. There were some other services on the API, on the IPA side of this that I need to do. So I'm curious to see IDM auto mount help. Oh, IPA auto mount help. Curious to see, well, IPA help topics. Wonder if it will mention the services in here. Probably not. Talks about the stuff I'm going to eventually be doing, but not the services. Do systemctl list, was it list unit files type service? All right, so I'm wanting to think that may be one. Autofs GSS proxy looks familiar. NFS IMAP IDMA map or ID map D looks familiar. RPC GSSD, that's what I think I was looking for. And then the IMAP D, I can't remember. All right, let's do this. So system CTL enable RPC GSSD service now. Yeah, all right. So what I'm remembering from some of my training is I would get these basically warnings, but they are the services that supposedly you need for this. Yeah, it says these are not meant to be enabled or disabled. This is one of these things I'm just kind of regurgitating the training that I have. I don't have a full understanding of these services, so I'm not terribly happy about that, but it's kind of like eye on the prize. If this is something that Red Hat's expecting me to do based off of some training and documentation that I've read, then so be it. But the system administrator in me wants to know exactly what these services are doing, but perhaps we'll have some time to find that out later. All right, last we need to export -A, and that should, famous last words in IT, right? That should have us working. So something that I can do, let me log into client 1 as test user 1. So lab IDM client 1, IDM-EJSlab.com. I might not be able to do what I'm wanting, but we'll see. Lab IDM NFS, IDM EJSlab, IDM. Okay, so good. The DNS record made for that. And what I want to try to do, you're not going to have sudo permissions. Yep. So I need to log in as my local account. This is why I think this might fail. But let's see if I can try become root. I'm going to see if I can try to just mount that. So mount TNFS, and this is going to be lab NFS IDM NFS, IDM EJSlab.com, and we are doing NFS test. We're going to mount that to mount test. I'll bet that's because of the Kerberos stuff. So let me try to get a ticket, and we'll try this again. What I'm wanting to do is try to test my NFS mount before I start doing all the autofs stuff. I might not be able to do that. There a -V for mount, like a verbose. Well, I suppose, what's that command that you can look up NFS mounts with? Actually, before I do that, I'm going to do, just to see if I can verify at least something is working, is do like a wide open export. Export FS is probably what I needed. Yeah, damn it. All right, export FS-A. Now let's see if I can mount this. Okay, ls mount test. Yeah, that's probably what I did wrong. I used export instead of export FS. Of course, exports for variables. Well, college football, what's it? Humility is only a week away. Well, and working with exam prep when you're tired on a Saturday, humility is only a command away, right? All right, so let's go back into Etsy exports. Let's uncomment this. Use the right command. -A. Probably should have U-mounted this. And I'm curious to see if I can mount it again. Okay. That's going to be a Kerberos thing, which is kind of odd to have a ticket, but at least the NFS service and such is running and we can make connections to it, even though I am not, properly doing this from a Kerberos perspective. So back to here. So the NFS stuff is basically done. Now I need to make my auto mount. Let's see how well I can remember that just off the top of my head. So IPA auto mount, should be IPA auto mount. Yeah, auto mount add. I'm going to do a location IPA auto mount add -- help. There won't be a whole lot of. Am I going crazy? IPA. I really should try to do these videos earlier in the day when my brain's fresh. It's auto mount map. Yeah, not just auto mount, because you can do location and we have to do keys as well. So IPA auto mount map add -- help. Just get a couple of things. Yeah, we have to do the location. So by default, there is a location called default mount map - add default, and this map is like the first. Do I want auto map add or do I want auto map indirect? Ho hum. So this will be something I'm going to try to review a couple more times before my exam, or just do this when I'm not as tired. What I'm wanting to do is an indirect mount to where the location for the autofs does not already have to exist. Auto map add - indirect. That's what I want. IPA auto mount add map - yeah, that's what I want. I don't know why I'm not getting tab completion on this. So the location is default. Oh, to finish what I was saying before, again, brain's tired. The indirect mounts basically will mount all of the folders and such that you need. And I know this is oversimplification, but it will truly automatically make the directories that are needed for your mount at the time you need to mount something, versus the non-indirect, just the direct mount. Those directories to which you are mounting have to already exist. So we're just going to call this auto.home, and the mount point for this is going to be /home. I believe this is what I both want and need for this. Okay, now we need to add basically a key for this, and that is IPA auto. Let me do the help auto map auto mount. So I'm drawing a blank on the actual command name. And location auto map add indirect auto mount key. Okay, so IPA auto mount key add -- help real quick. Yep. All right, so for this, we're going to do this default location. Auto.home was the name of the map that we made. The key for this, we're actually going to do star. And the reason for this is we want basically anything that's going to be in that NFS share, any of those directories, we will be able to create mount points for that. I may be articulating that poorly, but it's basically what's going on. And then info is the actual mount. This is going to be lab idm nfs.idm gslab.com /nfs /nfs test. And this I need to do this in quotes, I believe. The ampersand there is basically saying whatever value has come from key, let's say it's /foo, you're going to append that there to the NFS test, if I remember correctly. Let's see if this works. All right, I like that. Now we'll go into our client. And again, we have to do the auto mount, client auto mount. So maybe come root again. Maybe it's just root. I can't do my my tab completion. Okay, so let's see if this works. Log out, and we're going to log in as test user 1 at lab IDM client 1, and this is looking good. Cat who is this .txt. Let's see if I can make a file here. Echo I am test 1 to try a file .txt. Sweet, that's there. Let's go back to here. LR NFS test, and we see the file there. So despite the trials and tribulations, it worked. Now I'm fairly certain this is going to survive a reboot. So let me, because I don't think that user can become root, I'll just do it this way. Well, I'm going to have to do it this way. IDM client 1. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because we have autofs doing the home, and obviously there is no Eddie in my LDAP server. All right, what I wanted to do was reboot this and see if it survives a reboot. I'm sure that it will. Give this just a moment to come back up. And let's log in as test user 2 this time. Probably should have checked the status of the autofs service. Yep, who is this .text? I am test user 2, and auto mount is running and enabled, so that will be something to check. All right, so it was slow, and my lack of needing to touch NFS every day is apparent, but I think I will be able to deal with the, oh wait, before I actually make that assertion, let's try this on lab IDM. I haven't installed that on lab IDM client 2. Oh well, I'm fairly certain that's going to work. So I'm going to consider this a pass for configure roaming or auto-mounted home directories. Not the best, but I think it'll be good enough to deal with things on the exam. If you found the video useful, make sure you do click like. I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click the subscribe button and ring the bell when you do, so you know when new content is available. I know it's been a while since I have published any videos, but it's because I'm on my race to the RHCA cert, and so one exam after another, and there's just not enough time to also get videos ready to be uploaded, but they'll be coming soon. And that's why you click the button and ring the bell, so you know when they're there. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.